We are back. Welcome to the HEF podcast. It is August. It is August. It is the first Monday in August 3rd. Welcome to the HEF podcast. This is the podcast of the Home Education Foundation. The Home Education Foundation is an organization that was started by Brenda Dickinson and Craig Dickinson, an amazing homeschool couple from the early 1980s, whenever they helped secure a victory for parents all over the free state of Florida to educate their own children. Imagine that. They believed that parents were equipped and able to raise their own kids, and, well, if they wanted to pull out from the system, they could. And so they fought to put it in statute to give parents the right to home educate their children, and so we have that statute, 1002.41, home education statutes. And in that statute, a home education program is not a program of the public school district in which you reside. It is only registered with your county for the purposes of satisfying mandatory attendance. And so you are in attendance at your own home education program with your own family, where your parents can set those values, set those standards, because, well, the children belong to the parents. Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Craig, for the work that you've done, and we appreciate that fully, and we carry that torch forward. My name is Jason Crawford, and I am the host of the HEF podcast, as well as the new lobbyist, the new voice of parents in the Capitol, carrying on the work that Brenda started and doing our due diligence to help parents be informed about changes in the law and updates to it, or growing trends and things that might happen or come our way to help protect parents' rights to continue to be able to have the freedom to educate their own children. So thank you to the parents in the free state of Florida for supporting the work that we do. We did, again, secure a sponsor this year for the Donation Match Challenge. And so August is the month for our Donation Match Challenge. If you are not yet a supporter of the work that we do, we have a goal of, I think it's $6,000 that we are trying to raise from among our community, to that if we raise that, our donor will match that. And so this begins the race of August 2026, the second annual Donation Match Challenge, flhef.org/support. Any donations that are sent in or that are set up during this time period count toward matching that. And if we hit the match, there is a private donor who is willing to match those funds. So the challenge has been set this year. The gauntlet has been thrown. Let's see if we can get our community to rally up behind us and support the work that we do. We're so very thankful for those parents who do support the work that we do. If you don't know, that is how our funding comes to us, by organizations and parents who believe in the work that we do. No, we do not have any giant tech companies or conglomerates that pour into us and back the work that we do. Just those tiny believers coalescing into a large group of believers that want to see us keep doing this good work that Brenda started. And among those are our title sponsor, Arete, and our top sponsors, FPEA, Fisher Precious Metals, and TBHC Group, and we're so thankful for them as well. All right. Without further delay, good morning. I did it. I was so good for so long. Good day. It is day. Brenda is with us today, as we're always thankful to have you with us. And we have Dina Fox with us as well. For those of you who don't know who Dina is, and you do know who Brenda is, Dina is the director and founder of a program called Class Source. She's also a mother of 4 amazing children. So equipped to dive into today's topic, which your service to the home education community goes back decades, with a home education program that comes alongside parents to help equip them in their education journey of their children. And you've got so much robust wisdom and a fiery spirit that I am going to fully harness today as we dive into the conversation. Thank you for being with us.
I knew one day my mother would love to see that it was used for good instead of evil. I will email her afterwards and say, Mom, watch the podcast. Only took with my mid-50s.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, and Brenda, thank you for being with us today. I know you always have so much going on. And I'm glad that you're able to separate from the work of this as we carry the load now and do those things. But I also know you are still just so busy. But thank you for being with us.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here, especially for this topic. It's going to be a challenging one. We're going to have maybe some bloody knuckles and some scraped knees after we get through slogging through this one. So the title of today's podcast is Homeschooling a Scam? And I think that is going to depend on who you ask. It's important to contemplate the question from a point of view, because there are people who really genuinely hold that thought and they're serious about it. There are those who don't like you, quote unquote, ruining your kids. There are people who don't trust the parent knows best. They take the idea that parents are dumb and not professionals, and therefore can't know how to raise their own kids. So to them, anything and everything a parent would do is somehow less than or not enough compared to the golden standard of a professional doing it. They balk at the idea that a parent might spend scholarship money on Legos or interactive tabletop games, comic books, kayaks, or tickets to an aquarium. How can you, the parent, possibly understand how to turn something like that into an education? You're not qualified. That's the underlying thought that they start with. And some are diametrically opposed. So that thought is just out in the open, while others are not so open. They still hold the thought, but they're not as open about the way that they put it forward. They approach parents in much the same way. I imagine that if this was an episode of If Advertisements Were Honest, some of the companies or programs and providers trying to help educate your children might sound something like this. Hey, you can't really do it yourself. Listen to that voice inside you telling you you're not enough. You're right. But we're here for you. We'll homeschool your kid for you, and you can finally relax knowing that your kid is being taught by an accredited program and qualified professionals, and not just some kid's mom. So act now, and you'll get the family rate for all of your kids. And it just makes me cringe. There's an underlying tone to it. There's an underlying message. Sometimes it's overt, but sometimes it's just sitting there beneath the surface. I've literally seen ads and listened to sales pitches at conventions tell parents, quote, not every parent is equipped to do this. I will say that the journey of educating your own children and making that choice for your family to embark upon this shouldn't be done as a knee-jerk, and it shouldn't be done so without carefully weighing the costs and considering the sacrifice that you will be called to make. It is going to be hard. But I do reject the notion that parents aren't enough, that you're not equipped. If you're not equipped, get equipped. But don't be duped. Don't be scammed by programs promising equipping when what they're really doing is replacing. And Brenda, there are a lot of programs coming out of the woodwork since the scholarship landed. I don't imagine, and you've told me, I don't imagine that there were all of these programs signing up to help homeschool families back in the day. I want you to share, one, your reaction to kind of the framing of today's topic, and two, like, what was it like in those OG moments where you started? Go ahead.
Well, the word pioneer is a very appropriate term for those of us that embarked on home education back in the early 80s. It wasn't legal. We were willing to pay a price if, in fact, it came to us being prosecuted, hoping that we could go to court. However, there was no law in Florida based on that. And people had the same opinions back then that they have today. Oh, parents can't do it. Well, we had 3 vendors at the first convention in 1985 that were willing to even let us look at their curriculum.
Wow.
And now when you go to a convention, there's probably over 100 vendors there trying to make a business out of home education. And I think parents need to realize that in the early days, we were able to do our program using unit studies, the library, contests that were available to us to participate, to motivate the children to write speeches, give speeches. We actually use games to teach our kids math, family games around the table, teaching them math. They didn't even know they were going to school because it was more fun. It was hands-on learning, and it was a great time for us to spend family time together while children were learning how to add, subtract. I never told them addition or subtraction. They ended up telling me, look, Mom, if you add this, a 9 to this 1 over here, you get 10. I said, yeah, that's addition. So you could see the process in their brain as they began to put things together, and you knew they were learning. They were on to the next thing. I think the most important aspect to me in what's happening now is people are coming up with some creative ways to do the same thing that the public school is doing. And it looks like home education, but it is, in fact, many of them just following a curriculum. It isn't a public school curriculum, but what the thing that breaks my heart is the beauty of home education is following the child's interest. And if you don't follow the child's interest, it's no different than them sitting in a classroom bored to death because they don't care about what's happening. Brain research tells us that if you're interested in something and you pursue that, you remember it. But if you're just memorizing facts to put down on a test, and maybe you don't test in home education, but the same thing. So customizing the learning to the child's interest at the child's level of comprehension is the beauty to me of home education. So using somebody's program is no different than you sitting your child in a classroom with somebody else deciding what they're supposed to learn. Now, home education is a sequential progress. Sequential, meaning if they learn how to add, then they learn the next thing is subtraction, the next thing is multiplication, and so forth. So, you know, I don't remember, there was some, one of the early founders that came up with a list of what children should learn based on the sequential progress. And to me, that's the most important thing for a parent to know. And then you just find resources that might help you teach that. To me, a lot of it was games and contests.
Well, from what you've recounted about the early days at one of the first conventions and people being reticent to even let you see their curriculum that they use, it rings of that underlying tone that, like, you're just a parent, you can't possibly use this to teach anybody anything. And you know, Dina, you're very well versed in this because you're not just a person who has ran her own home education program for the last couple of decades. You're also serve on our board, and you, like me, have been getting inundated with emails from, I got one the other day from a superintendent who was a superintendent and now is retired. And guess what? They're the national face of this program that's going to help you homeschool your kids better. I'm like, what in the world do you know about homeschooling? Dina,
exactly.
you take it. You tell from some of your perspective, what is your reaction to this?
Well, first of all, thanks
Yeah.
for having me on today. I love to get to talk with you guys. And I love being able to talk to our community here in Florida. Like Brenda said, if you were to look at a homeschool convention in 1990 versus the homeschool conventions today, and I mean the larger ones, obviously sometimes there's some little ones that are a little different, but it looks like a different world. The amount of people in the last several years, and really I would say since the UA scholarship probably got a little more popular, and definitely inundated since we had the PEP scholarship come out, which I use those programs. I have nothing against them, but as you know, money is a motivator. And I think that it is naive of anyone to think that they're actually trying to help you. They are trying to make money.
Yep.
And they may have a service that might benefit you. It doesn't mean that they don't. There may be something they've got that for your particular family would be great, but that is not their main goal. Their main goal is to sell their service because we are now chum in the water. And when chum's in the water, you're going to get some sharks along with the dolphins. So watch closely. And if they say to you, fish are friends, not food, remember that scene did not go well. Go watch Finding Nemo if you know what I'm talking about. You will be running with Dory through a tube before long. If you had told me in the 90s that there would be people knocking on my door to try to give me products to assist my home education, I would not have believed you. We had to beg to even get to look at some of the books.
Right.
We were turned away from major people who are now have homeschool programs and odds and the video curriculums, and they've come, and I'm like, you wouldn't sell me a book 16 years ago. Wouldn't sell it to me. I had to get a teacher friend to get it for me because I was just a little mom, and it's very interesting to see the shift in things. And, when you were talking about the people that have, come out of an institution of some kind, and that is their mindset, that is their training, those standards are their goal. And they're bringing it to those of us who do not want our kids in institutions. I question why I would follow the path and advice of someone whose life I don't want.
That's a great question. Dana, that is so good. I've used that to steer myself at times whenever I'm in a conflict and I'm trying to understand my way through something fresh that's challenging, and I'll go, okay, let me step it back away from the problem that I can't quite see my way through, and let me pick advice and let me get some help here. And I think every parent feels that way at times. I don't feel fully equipped, and that's something I think we can all resonate with.
All the time. I didn't learn piano. I took my kids to a piano lesson.
Yeah,
that was
equipping and replacing are different. And that question that you just mentioned, when I'm listening to people's advice, because they're like, oh, you got to do it this way. You have to do it this way. This is the way. It's the be all end all. Then I step back and I go, where's your family? Where are your kids? What kind of relationship do you have with them? Maybe I don't take your advice. Maybe I'm just as good at this time flipping a coin and making the decision, because the outcomes that you've produced and the outcomes that I could produce are pretty much indistinguishable. If I mess it all up, you've done that. So where am I at with taking your advice? Why should I? And
I don't understand. Well, I guess I understand from a just living in the world point of view. how, inundated we are with people who are
Yeah, sure.
experts in some area. And there's a need for some of that. If I'm going to have brain surgery, I really, really would have liked you to have really gone through some good training and experience in
please.
brain surgery. Please, yes. I probably won't ask my next door neighbor who used to do tree surgery. I think I'm going to want the brain surgeon. But by and large, in the world and in history, people were not put in institutions for good reasons. In all of the years that I've worked, which is like 23 years that I've worked with home educating families, I've worked with thousands of families. And all of that time, there's been a couple of times where I have said, due to very extreme circumstances, I think you're going to have to put them in an institution. But the default right now is that the institutions got it right, the ones everyone's leaving. And so the people who worked at and ran the institution can now come help those of us who never needed to put our kids in an institution. And, if you think about it in a medical standpoint, if you have a child who's got struggles and you find out that family put their kid in an institution instead of taking it on and helping them one-on-one and giving the best fit, you're very disappointed at their choice. But when you look at it with reading, writing, arithmetic was definitely less challenging than a violent mental illness, they think you're insane.
Yeah, you're making me think. I was thinking about this earlier, and I wasn't sure where it might come up in the conversation, but you're 100% on something here. We are very good. Humans are very good at overcomplicating things. To take something that is what it is, and it's a challenge, but let's overcomplicate it with making solutions. And I don't need a doctor to put a Band-Aid on a scraped knee. But if I reframe that, well, it's a scraped knee is an open wound. Open wounds can get infected. And who are you to do this? You're not a certified medical professional. How are you going to care for that open wound? You need to send your kid to a certified medical professional to get care for things like that. And at public schools, the teachers don't put Band-Aids on scraped knees. They send you to the nurse. Like, it's a sign of the system that you've given over to think that way, that you're not enough to put a little ointment and a Band-Aid on your kid's knee. You're not enough to teach your kid how to add, how to read, how to think. Oh, this is just, we've overcomplicated the problem to the point where we've sold ourselves on the belief that we need a certified professional to solve it. And holy cow, if only all of humanity had certified professionals, then we just wouldn't even be where we are now. We'd be so much like, what? It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. Brenda, you look like a thought is brewing.
Well, I said this in one of the earlier podcasts, but I did go through the education process. It was in most of my basic foundation was in home economics, but we had to learn chemistry and biology and a bunch of basic things to be able to go into the home economic program. But what absolutely floored me was when we got into a home economics education program, we had to take courses over in the education department. And I kept asking in every one of these courses, the history of education, the different courses that were lined up for you to be able to become a certified teacher. It was all about class management. I kept asking the question over and over, when are we going to learn the subject so that we can teach the kids in the classroom? They said, don't worry about that. You'll get the curriculum when you get to the classroom. So do I need classroom management from a home education program? No. Do I need the history of education to be able to home educate my child? No. So what are the professionals certified in? It's not in math. Some of them are. Some of them are certified in English or literature, but the majority of teachers that go into the elementary classroom are certified to manage a class. So when you talk about the certification, you need to ask the question, what is it that they're certified in? And most of them the majority of them are just teaching out of a curriculum or whatever the state prescribed for the benchmarks and the standards and all those kinds of things. They're not creative. Now, some of them were, but once the state implemented that into measuring teacher and student progress, they had to put all the creativity in a file drawer and follow the pattern the state set up. So you're not getting great creativity for your child. The other thing that you have to realize is it's standardized for kids that are in a particular grade. Well, your child may not be ready for math let's just say reading by the third grade. Some children are not developmentally ready. But if you're going to follow the pattern of somebody else's grade level learning, you're doing the same thing to your child. You're not giving them the freedom to develop at their own pace. You're not giving them the opportunity to get excited about learning because you have picked whatever somebody else has picked, put it in a textbook or some sort of program, and your child becomes one of the 10, one of the 50, one of the 100. Your child is not turned on to learning because he may not be interested in what somebody else does. But if you listen to your child, let them ask you questions. If they're really interested in a topic, delve into it. That's what real learning is all about, is expanding what the child is interested in, capture the teachable moment, and pursue it. And they learn how to research, they learn how to write. If they're reading, they're learning how to punctuate and how to manipulate grammar. They learn by reading the correct grammar that are in the books that your child is reading. It's not rocket science.
Are you sure?
Follow.
No, I'm married to a rocket scientist. Yeah. It's not
true. You are.
I am. Brenda, that's so true. And what I think is the biggest, most tragic loss of an institutionalized society, which we are an institutionalized society at this point. And the reason we're getting so much pushback over the years is because we've exited the society's standardized norms, and it makes them very nervous. And I think this was heightened, and we saw it. What a great, God uses everything. And that pandemic was used to shine lights on how quick experts could become overlords.
That's a great, hold on to that line. Oh my word. Yes.
I know I need to make bumper stickers and fuel my
the age of
program.
experts becoming overlords. Wow.
Experts becoming overlords. Going. And, read 1984, read Animal Farm, read. But what we're doing, breaking out of the system, is making people very, very uncomfortable. But we've gotten so much traction, and we have 40 years of data and evidence that cannot be disputed. And it is becoming, the world is becoming darker and darker, and the light is shining in the darkness. And people, I believe that by and large, most people care and love their children and want what's best for them. Yeah. In large. There's the exceptions that we see on the news because that gets views, but mostly most parents I've met, and I've lived all over this world, are all exactly the same. They love their kids and want what's best for them. And because there's such darkness coming into our school systems and our other institutions, they're pulling out because they love their children and they're wanting to protect them and teach them better than they're perhaps getting taught in whatever institutional setting they're in. That kind of motivation, that kind of one-on-one with your kids can do nothing but better than an institution. And it's making them shake in their shoes. They're losing jobs.
Yeah.
That's why the state of Florida is being sued by the teachers union right now. They're losing
Yeah.
money. They're losing jobs. And they, so these experts that see the writing on the wall are jumping
Yep.
ship like rats. And they are coming out. They want to survive. And so they're looking at, hey, this is a market that's not been really tapped that much until now there's money. Let me create something based on my institutional experience to help these people with different goals do what I used to do, but I'll do it privately because I can see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
That's what's going on right now.
That is so key. That is so key. And I think we're moving, and I hope we're moving into the age of deconstructing the expert. That we realize that we peel back the curtain and realize that the great and powerful Oz is actually just this dude pulling levers. Like, wake up, because what is a doctor? What is a doctor? A person with a doctorate. What does that mean? Deconstruct that for a moment. I hear people walk around with that title all the time. And I used to think of a doctor as a person who practices medicine, right? That's what a doctor is, a medical doctor. And then it's like, oh, well, there's so many other forms of doctorate, that level of achievement. And like, okay, I hear you, but why am I forced to recognize that? Why that you went to some place and got some stamp on a piece of paper and what? I'm not trying to be a jerk, but we both put our pants on one leg at a time the same way, and we both move around throughout our life trying to achieve the same successes, and yet what life really is for everybody, whoever says it's not, is missing. They're lying. I guarantee you, because what life really truly is, it's a series of failures you work your way through until you find those bright moments of success and you harness them. You'll hold on to them. You learn how to like strap the cart to them and take you further. And that's all anyone can do in life. We're all on that same track, period. So why do I fall? Why do I fall for the doctor? I hear people use that term a lot, and especially because like the work that we do with universities through our marketing company, I see all these people with all these titles, and I'm like, well, what do you do? But what do you practice?
Right.
Like, what have you accomplished? Like a lot of times they just go through the training, get the doctorate. You call them a doctorate before they've ever achieved anything because they got the stamp on their piece of paper. And I'm not trying to like ego bash anybody. I want to be very clear about the education settings. If your child learns better in an educational setting that has a lot more structure to it, like a school, yeah, I mean, you're the parent. The freedom and the authority over your child's educational choices are there. What you make that choice. What I'm saying is those programs that are walking around pretending to be the quintessential apex homeschooling programs because they've come from the institutional place and now they're trying to jump into the homeschooling sphere and own it when they've not even wanted to touch it for the last several decades. Go away. Like, I'm not even going to be gentle about it. We're not your people. We're not your people. Homeschoolers are not your people. You can have your program and do your thing and help parents, but you're not homeschooling. Homeschooling isn't, drop your kids into our program and we'll homeschool for you. We've got a little homeschool that we set up. You want to come shop around and see our people and visit and see if you like our homeschool, and then you can come to our homeschool. That's not homeschooling. Period.
I think that what our real goal is to define home education, because there's so many choices out there. And we at the Home Education Foundation want to preserve the right of a parent to educate their child in the way they see best, to customize the education to each particular child. Not every child's going to do well in any kind of program, but you as the parent know whether they're learning. So is it better to have a one-on-one relationship with your child or put them in some sort of program where the maximum would be 30 kids, the minimum will probably be 10 kids in those programs? And what are you doing? Putting them in front of a computer at somebody else's home? That isn't home education. Home education is the ultimate do-it-yourself program.
Mhm.
And it's not requiring anybody from the outside to give you any kind of expertise or help. You are the parent, and you know
But
your
they
child
prey
best.
upon these people.
So
They prey upon them.
right, but it's money, as Dina said, it's all
Yes.
money driven. Is that they can make money off of your child. It's no different than the public school. They want the money for your child. These new programs are coming in wanting the program for your child. If you drop your child off at anybody's house, building, you have not been in a home education program.
And Brenda, you have said this before. It takes, 3 years to really get it. Like the first year you try to bring public school home or private school or whatever the school program is. You try to bring it home and do it all. And you realize that is wild. And then you realize maybe you don't have to do every single problem on the worksheet or in the book. And so you start to trim back a little bit year 2. And then on year 3, you're like, wait, this is way overcomplicating it. Less is more. Let's focus on the basics, and your kid starts to then blossom. And this 3-year window that we're focused on here, where that's the natural learning curve, like it is the baseline reality every parent has to go through when they begin. It's default. It's built in because we're trying to come out of this system. It is that moment where these programs are preying upon parents. That little window is you've got all this funding that was dropped, and hey, we have all the programs, and you know what? You've left that program, but you can bring that program home, or you can take your kids and drop them off in a smaller version of that program. And it's like, time out. You're not homeschoolers. And do your program. Parents, if you like one of those little mini programs or whatever they are, like, hey, you're the director. You go try it out. You see if it fits for your kid. You see if they blossom. You choose and you pivot when you're ready to, because you have the freedom and the authority to do that. So I'm not trying to just slam every other program as I think they're inferior. No, I'm trying to slam those who prey upon parents in that small window, which is a very hard reality that we live in, where we're learning that we can do it, by then taking that away from them and going, no, you can't. Let me sell you this program that'll do it for you. Not everyone can do this. You're right. Like, no, that's
Right.
nonsense.
Well, a true home education program, I guess now it's home education instructional program in statute, isn't just educating in different areas for the student. They're educating the parents as well. If your home education program is not empowering you with the knowledge of your rights and freedoms, with your ability to pivot and turn at any time for your child, if you're not being given resources outside of that program, there's something wrong. That is not, home education is about the whole family. At ClassSource, we love it when people come to be with us because they want to be with us or they want to learn from us. But my highest compliment as a program leader in the Tampa area is when they don't need me 1 year. Then I feel like I've done my job. I want to teach them to fish. I don't want to sell all my fish all day, every year to them. Now, if they want to be with me because they like me, and there's a lot of them that do, and I love you all. But I want them there because we have a great community, and we're part-time. We've always been very, very careful to be less than 50% of the time. So we only meet 2 days a week, and some classes meet 1 day a week because the parent needs to be with their child and they need to be taking on the majority of it. But I had some good friends this last year who'd been with us forever that said, you know what, I think we've got it and we're going to just be at home this year. And I was not upset. I went to my board and said, we met a goal because we are not here to make money, because we are a nonprofit, underline the non in
and
nonprofit.
that's the difference between equipping and replacing. And that, I can't say that enough. We've talked a little bit. I'm going to move our phases around because I think this is just a better spot for what comes next. But we've talked about these programs and what are and aren't. So let's go ahead and just hit phase 3 of a conversation, which is, all right, what are the signs What are the signs? Like, what are the red flags that a program is not a homeschool program? It's a program. It's an education program. Maybe it's a good fit for you. You can go try it out. But here are some red flags that it is, in fact, not a homeschool program. One, they take control over all the choices.
Absolutely. Yes. If you cannot say to whatever kind of program leader it is, whether it's a teacher, administrator, whatever, if you cannot say to them, I've decided we're not going to do this lesson this week, or I'm going to skip that book for this season, or I'm only going to do odd problems today, and there's a consequence for your child, you don't have a home education program.
That's right.
You have a school.
Perfectly said. Number 2, they take on the role as the primary teacher. That's the parent's role.
Yep. Yes, we're seeing that a lot more. And it always saddens me when I get a lot of phone calls just wanting to learn about home ed or consulting or whatever. And they will tell me, I'm going to be homeschooling this year. And I'm like, oh, great. And they're looking for some resource, and I'll try to match the resource with them. And they go, oh, no, they're every day, all day at a homeschool program. I don't do any teaching. And then I sit back and I go, I think you're at a private school. And they're like, no, it's a homeschool program. But they can't do any of the things their kids want to do because 8 to 3, Monday through Friday, they drop their kids off and they don't do anything with their child.
That's right.
That's not homeschooling.
And just because it has Quality Learning Center on the sign, that doesn't mean that's what it is. It may have none of that. I'm sorry.
Or if sometimes parents do need a place to drop their children off during the day because they're forced to work.
Right.
But that isn't home education. I don't care what program it is that you drop them off, whether it's a public school, a private school, the new micro schools that are popping up, whatever the program is. If it's a drop off 5 days a week, it is not home education. Right. So we're here to protect the rights of parents to do it themselves.
That's right.
We're not trying to say those programs don't work for some parents, but it isn't home education. And that's what we're running into, is all the experts think they know how to define and how to do a quote home education program. But if that expert is telling you how to home educate and they've never home educated, it's not a home education program.
There you go.
Number 6.
Yeah, she's getting there. So number 3, signs that your program is not a homeschool program. Number 3, they promise to have discovered some new technique. This one's touchy. Touchy because I've seen that promised a lot.
Yep.
Dina, what do you have to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm all about innovation. I don't think there's a lot of ways to learn. I think it's good to have innovation. I don't have a problem with new things coming up. The question I always have is what wasn't working? Why do I need something new? It's working. It's the 90% of people I know who's homeschooled their kids are very, very happy with the lives they have, and their kids are happy with the lives they have. And that's a way higher percentage than institutions. So what wasn't working that we need something new for?
This is that quintessential moment in sales where you sell the person on the idea that the problem is complicated, very complex, but don't worry about it. We've got this new technique that really takes care of all that complexity. And now that complexity I've just put on your shoulders, you won't even have to think about it. Just buy our program. And that's really, you got to be careful of that. The promise to have discovered some new technique. Reading is reading. Math is math. It's always been that way. Your kid might come at it from a different angle, or the aha moment that breaks it open for them. It may still be yet to be discovered for you, but that doesn't mean it's changed the way the world works. And something new to you might just be new to you. But man, be very wary. Be very wary.
Be wary of oxymorons
Morons?
in that. We have a new program, morons too. We have a new program to help you classically educate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But classical's been around forever. And so how is your new program doing what Aristotle did? I don't get it. But there's a lot of that repackaging and making think it's new. It's just a hamburger. I don't care if it's smashed. I don't care if you put onions on it that are grilled. It's
Now I'm
just a
hungry.
Hamburger. I know.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
I think that people need to recognize, in addition to being a great lobbyist, Jason, is that your background is in marketing. And so you see the sales pitches and recognize what people are trying to sell you on, maybe better and quicker than most parents. So it's, people really need to listen to the things that you're pointing out, because these are the things that will suck you in and put you back in the box to use a standardized program.
Yes.
But the one that they created, because it's new and
so
different.
Obviously better because the money goes in their pocket. So that's way better.
That's right.
So yes, here we are rolling through. What are the signs that a program is not a homeschool program? Number 4, they rest their sales pitch on you not being enough. Whatever the burden is, like homeschooling is hard. Don't worry. We're here to help. We'll do it for you. Whatever that is. I actually knew some of the people at one who I saw their ads, and that was their ads. And I went to them and like, hey, is this what you mean? And they were like, well, no. I'm like, that's what it is. That's what it's saying. And they very quickly pivoted their marketing away from that. But it's something to be aware of. When they're resting their sales pitch, listen shrewdly, listen carefully. If they're implying, and I've had people outright say it, not every parent's enough to teach their kids. I've heard them just blatantly say it. And I've heard some do it subtly, where it's like, oh, I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. We'll take that on for you. We'll take that on for you. It's like, just be wary. Just be careful. Listen closely for that place when taking it on as a help turns into taking control over. Because that pivot point, the more they're taking off of you in the name of help because you're just overwhelmed or not equipped, or some parents aren't meant to, that's not a homeschool program. It might be the program you need. They might be right. You might be, up to your eyeballs. And there was a family recently, they're going through a divorce and they needed expert testimony about what the values of homeschooling are and stuff like that. And I imagine they're going to struggle if they're trying to homeschool, because now both of them are going to have to be their own providers. And that classic place where like homeschooling families for the last several decades have had kind of the dad going and providing and the mom being with the kids, that dynamic isn't possible for them. So that's just a hard reality, and people's circumstances are different. So there's going to be a need. You just have to be listening and careful for that place where the sales pitch that you're not enough turns into them taking the control over.
But let me say, even in those circumstances, parents can be creative and figure out a way that they can home educate their children. Maybe it's after their daytime job. And yes, it is going to be a little bit more difficult for you to spend your nighttime hours teaching your children at home and doing the basics. But aren't you doing that anyway? If you're in a program, don't they send pages and pages of homework? Yes. And you're still doing the same thing? So just do it. Let the children stay where they need to stay with grandma or friend or whatever. And then you do the home education at home at night. Or maybe you've got a job that's flexible and you can do it in between. I can tell you specific examples of where parents have been able to do what you're saying is difficult, and it is. But they figured out a way, if they want to teach their children, to be able to do income plus teaching
had
their
the
children.
person at the gas station the other day ask about my kids being in summer, how they were enjoying summer, and I was like, "Oh, they're not. We school year round." And she looked at me, huh? And I was like, "We homeschool, so we do year round, all year long. We do schooling, and we do just fewer hours a day. We do 2 or 3 hours a day, and that's year round. Though there are no breaks. There are no breaks in life. Life is just one big thing." But she looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, that's how you do it." And I was like, "Well, thank you. Thank you." That was,
Yes,
That is what we're doing.
it is.
because if you're trying to do the 8 hours plus the 8 of school and then the 8 hours of homework crammed into that little window after you get off of work, I'm not going to be able to do that. No, but you can still educate your kids and raise them. Yes. Yeah. Number 5, signs that your program is not a homeschool program. It's similar to the ones before, but they imply that if you're not doing it their way, you're really underserving your kid. Yeah, that I've seen
Right.
that one even inside the homeschool community with some of the
Oh,
class
yeah.
programs that are used.
Yes, it could be the battle of the homeschool methods.
Yeah.
There isn't as much about that as there was 20 years ago, Brenda. Have you noticed? We don't have so many talks and stuff like about Charlotte Mason method and unschooling, relax unschooling, classical, trivium, Latin, the model of, kind of the private school books at home. We used to have a lot of teaching at homeschool conventions and a lot of discussions about methods of homeschooling. And it seems as though there isn't as much education about that. And I wonder if it isn't because the people who were empowering you and helping you discover that don't have anything to sell. And the cost to go to conventions, get on air and publish stuff is high. And they're buying out the homeschool slots and conventions and advertising. The people who want to free you don't have much opportunity to do that anymore because they can't compete with the pricing.
That I think that might be lost because it took me a minute. I'm listening for me to put it together. So let me just recap and make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that a lot of the people who have the methods that they've used for years aren't really selling you on anything that subscribes you and keeps you coming back for more. So the funding that they use to get into the conventions and the conferences and buy those booths, they're not able to compete as much with the higher ticket, open the checkbook, let me send you all our vendors people. And so you're not necessarily hearing from them as much.
Right. It's happening everywhere.
Conventions are the ones that have booths that sell you
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah. And it used to be years ago that conventions would give the equipping people that weren't selling stuff free space and free speaking time. But now they're making so much money, they can't afford to give up that.
I think that's a
booth space.
brilliant observation about just like kind of some of the behavioral changes that have happened over time within the community itself. I think that's what a great point that you've made. I love it. Yeah, I'll probably chew on that one for a couple of days. Yeah, thank you. That's good. Number 6. This is it. Number 6. What are the signs that your program is not a homeschool program? Number 6. They call themselves a homeschool program, but no one there has ever homeschooled.
Yes.
Yeah, that was yours. You brought that baby. Yeah. You brought that baby to the fight. Like, talk about it, Dina.
Oh, it's like insane to me that someone who has never rolled up their sleeves and taught their own child can equip you and help you with that. This is not just about home education. Isn't just about I transfer information in my brain or this book into the younger model. That is not education. That's programming. Home education is loving your child and teaching them the way they should go as you rise up and you walk along the road and as you lie down. It is helping pass on your culture and your beliefs and your ethics and your morals, and your child is going to do this. They will do this the whole time with you, because that is
That's how iron
parenting.
sharpens iron, baby.
Yes, parenting is
That's
going to
right.
be bumping up against each other. And that takes a certain amount of finesse alongside reading, writing, arithmetic,
Yeah.
and interests, right? And if someone is telling you this is how you do it, and they've never wrestled with a 13-year-old with an attitude who did not want to do fractions and kept you up half the night because they kept doing something they shouldn't do, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go find yourself a veteran homeschool mom and
Yes, so
talk
this
to
is
her.
you're giving me callbacks to the Tampa Bay Homeschool Conference, listening to Cheryl Bastian, and what a great topic. Not topic. What a great, I don't want to call it a speech. Her talk,
Inspirational.
Yes,
her talk was
inspiration. Yeah, Cheryl's
inspirational, but it
great.
was from that same mindset. This is why I want to have her on. So if she ever listens to any of these, Cheryl, you're invited. Let's come talk about
Yes.
these things, because I think letting people see this, peel back the curtain on this, is so important for them to see
Yeah.
the heart and soul of what home education has been for the last 4 decades in the making.
Yeah. Home education leadership requires vulnerability and
Mhm.
experience. One of the best things I ever do for the families in my program when they're having a struggle with something, and they will, but everybody's having struggles. Just because you're I'm like, I always tell them, you're not having this struggle because you're homeschooling. You're having this struggle because you're with a human who's full of flesh, and you're a human who's full of flesh. And at 14 years old, one of my kids did nothing that year except Bible, get his sleep got all off, get his health together, and some physical exercise. That's all they did for an entire year, because that was what was most important for their overall well-being that year. Puberty hit that one like a ton of bricks. And I can't imagine if we hadn't had that year. And it was a hard year for all of us, even though we did that. It was a very hard year.
I
But
had
I
a
will
year like that.
Yes. But you know what? That same kid did 3 years of math in 1.5 years when he was older, and flew through it with a tutor because he wanted to get on pace to do some things he had goals for. And he loves me so much, he lives next door. And to me, that is the highest graduation
Yeah, man.
I could have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, we are at 1:00, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but there's one more thing that we need to talk about. So I'll do it in record time, I hope. My monologue will be on double speed. So if you're listening to this at double speed, you are probably going to want to slow it down. All right. We have to carefully consider that we as parents have the power to go to our legislators and ask for help with some of these programs, some of these providers or scams that we might see being pulled over parents' eyes. There's a potential need for rules and guidelines. And however, there's a two-edged sword here, and it cuts choices both ways it swings. It's like getting 3 wishes from a leprechaun or a genie, and you may get what you want in part, but it comes with something ruined in the wake, oftentimes. If we plead with our legislators to fix these problems, to do something about scammers providing, or fix all of this mess, they may legislate it. They may very well listen to us. But there's a very high chance that as it's done in such a way that removes valid choices that parents would have. Removing fraud and lookalikes would likely result in parents having fewer valid choices. Some of the true equippers that come alongside parents until they're able to get on their feet are coming alongside them. And they're not necessarily replacing the parent, but there's a lot in that early equipping that looks a lot like taking it over for you. And the goal has to be clear, and the parents have to be clear. But as we go to our legislators, let's be cautious. Let's be careful what we ask for. Let's share with our community first. That's why we're having this conversation. Let's share with our community first and be aware. The sisterhood of homeschooling moms should come together and help each other out. Choke the light choke the life out of scams by refusing to spend your money on them. And help each other spot the signs of a bad program when providers get wise to the fact that homeschool parents are slow to trust and we can't be distracted by the new shiny thing. Their financial resources will dry up and life and consequences will cause them to divert and change.
Right.
Their models will change because you won't be spending so much money with them. You won't be throwing that money around at everybody with some new shiny thing. And that's what we have to do with our community. We have to help spread the word. We have to help parents who are brand new. They're in that 3-year phase and they're struggling with the balance of this and which ones are good ones. We need those veterans to come alongside. We need those who have been there and done that with decades of home education instructional programs that equip parents and set them on their own path. Those like Brenda who have been there and Cheryl and many others who have so much wisdom to offer, and then they can just smell the air and know, oh, yeah, that sounds like a scam. Yeah, they're going to be able to spot and see and know things. Harness them, build those relationships, share within the community. Don't be afraid to give an honest take with each other. Life is short, and none of us have, that I know of, unlimited resources. And if you do, you should become a sponsor of flhef.org/support. Because unlimited resources sounds great, but since none of us really truly have that, we have to help each other be cautious and careful about how we engage.
Yeah. Can I bring up the parable, the wheat and the tares? What I see a lot, especially in a lot of the social media groups where there's a lot of screaming about something that's predatory or scammy, is not that the people even necessarily got caught up in it, but the injustice is bothering them and that they want to protect others. And I understand that. I'm a justice person. I get it. But the parable of the wheat and the tares is one that I always go back to, that's really not my job to police everybody else. I can give good advice to other people. I can vote with my feet and my dollars. But in the end, the Lord is going to take care of things that are not right. And sometimes if we try to pull those tares out, we're told that we'll pull out the wheat with it. And I think that's what could happen legislatively if we have too many pitchforks come out about something, because there is no way to risk-proof life. And this is going to be another area where there's going to be risk. Whenever you have opportunity, there's going to be risk. So we do need to temper ourselves. And I get upset too when I see stuff. I can get like, whoa, but that's really education and sharing with each other and voting with your feet and your dollars is a much better thing to do in whole for our community than try to legislate it.
Brenda, you were going to say something.
I want to just make 2 points. One, where do you get good counsel and advice? From the Discord in our program, because parents who are in that Discord are generally, I'd say 99%, previously or current home educating parents. Number 2, do some research. Google some of these things and see what the problem is. I was put on by somebody that said, you need to check out this candidate that's running. It's a statewide race, and he's running on a conservative ticket. His background in the military. If you Google him, you'll find out that a couple of years ago, he was running, now he's running as a Republican. A couple of years ago, he ran as a Democrat, and his slogan was he wanted to be the first openly gay governor in Georgia. That should tell you something. The guy's flip-flopping because he wants to win a race. And I say that because a lot of the candidates say, oh, I'm homeschool friendly. I support home education, but they know nothing about home education. They may never have met a home educator. And you need to be careful that I think the key that Jason keeps pushing is how do they stand on parental rights? That may be the more important thing to look for in a campaign. How do you stand generally on parental rights? And if that's the case, then you're going to go to that candidate's going to go to somebody that's home educating and ask them whether this is a good idea or not. But it is a critical, as Jason has said, election, because everybody wants to fix the scholarship programs. Yes, there is some fraud. Part of it was just things that were not set up correctly in the beginning with sharing of information from the state, the scholarship programs. Yeah, that's where a lot of the fraud came from. It wasn't parents doing the fraud. And we need to be careful about jumping on the bandwagon, like Dina says, that, parents are going to come out, oh, we need to fix this. We don't want any bad reputation. Let's take a deep breath. Don't try to push something that you don't know enough about to be able to offer adequate suggestions on fixing it. Or don't just scream, fix it, because legislators run a lot of their bills based on public outcry.
Yes, they do.
And we ran into that one year, Jason. You and I found out that the head of the education committee was a public schooler, and she was protecting public schools in the scholarship programs and wanted to make them look like public schools. So just because somebody says, I'm a conservative, I protect home education, or I support it, doesn't necessarily mean that they're telling the whole story. So be sure before you vote for somebody that you've done your research. Just Google them and find out what they've stood on for years, or more recently, what they're standing on.
That's an absolutely great point. And I just want to be clear that the Home Education Foundation doesn't support only Republican candidates or Democrat candidates or anything like that. We don't endorse any particular ones. In fact, some of these key questions about parental authority and parents' rights and education, we invited candidates from all sides of the aisle. I could just name a number of them: Dodie Joseph, David Jolly, Jason Pizzo, Paul Renner, Jay Collins, Byron Donalds, Fishback. We invited many candidates, and Bob Williams and Rachel Rodriguez. And we had two that came on and answered those tough questions that we put before them. So if you're seeing our social media, it's not because we picked a particular person to support. It's because those are the two that came on and answered the questions that we had for them before the primaries. So hopefully we'll be able to get some of the ones after the primaries to come back and have some more dialogue. We'll see. Because it's very important to us, and we want parents to be looking at this not from a jersey color or a side of the aisle thing, but what's really important to you is the kids are yours. And you should be the decision maker. You should be the one with the rights spelled out and carved out and protected to make those choices for them. And when you see something that is not working, because oftentimes that's what we do as parents, we make choices, it didn't work, and then we pivot. Then we change and we adapt. That is your right as a parent, and that should be protected, period. So that's it. Let's, is there anything more before, Brenda, I always love to give you last word, but Dina,
I made no last
good.
point.
All right, fair enough. Very good. And Dina, do you have anything else to add?
No, just encouraging everybody. If you want to get more information about these kinds of things, reach out, get on the Discord. We can have discussions. If you want any information, you're in the Tampa area and want to connect with ClassSource, class-source.com, classsource@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to answer questions, send resources, or get you connected with things that can empower you.
Thank you both so much for being with us today. It was a great discussion. And I also want to say thank you to parents of the free state of Florida for the support that you give us. This is August 2026, and it is the second annual donation match challenge. So the challenge coin design will soon be announced, but we do have a sponsor who has sponsored this donation match challenge, and if we can raise support from parents across the state and we hit that $6,000 threshold, they will donate the matching sum, and it'll be great. So we managed to just hit it at the end of the month last year. I'm hoping we can maybe get the word out and spread and make it not so stressful. But thank you so much for the support that you bring our way. And thank you to our top sponsors, Arete, FPEA, Fisher Precious Metal, and TBHC Group. We are able to do the work that we do with the support of those who go to flhef.org/support and sign up. So we're very grateful. We're very grateful for all of you. And without anything further, it is Monday. It is your Monday, and your family. Go make the best of it all. And thank you for being with us.